Can we start with introductions over there with Paul sitting down?
Paul Reinders, City of Pittsburgh.
Jim Conradi, AC Transit.
Leah Greenblatt with Tech.
John Cunningham, Contra Costa County.
Ahmed Abu City of Antioch. Jason Chen with City of Orinda.
Eric Hughes, City of Pleasant Hill.
Tom Reyes, Tri-Delta Transit.
Michael Tanner, VART.
Steve Kershadahan, City of Brentwood.
Heather Ballinger, City of Walnut Creek, representing City County Engineers.
Andy Smith, City of Walnut Creek, representing Transpec.
Yvette Ortiz, City of El Cerrito with Tech.
Dave Vaughton with MTC.
Dylan Grabowski with Caltrans.
Quit texting the wife and let's go.
And I'm Jerry Fay with Contra Costa County. Moving on, my last one. Moving on to public comment. Do we have anyone like to speak? Seeing none, I'd like to move on to item C, election of the chair and vice chair for the coming year. Seeing no one jump forward, I think we know. So it will run Transpac as chair and SWAT as vice chair.
Eric is now the vice chair currently.
Correct.
You don't have to push for your husband. We got it. Relax. He'll be the chair. Easy. You're mad. She's jumping out of her seat. She never does a word.
With that being said, is it appropriate for me to make the nomination, or then I would nominate Eric as the chair and Andy Dillard as the vice chair?
Second.
Just in time, Andy. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
That's too much. Well, thank you. I guess moving on to approval of summary of actions.
Make a motion.
Second. Motion. All in favor? Aye. Aye carries. Going through consent calendar. Well, I guess there isn't really nothing for consent calendar. So I guess regular agenda item number 3, project monitoring. Stephanie?
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Stephanie Hu, Associate Engineer with the Authority. Just want to point your attention to the monthly monitoring reports on page 3-3 to 3-9 for the STIP, OBAG, inactive, and ATP projects. For the OBAG project shown on page 3-5, which is the project's program for FY16-17, just wanted to report that all of them have been obligated. The very last one on the page, San Paulo Avenue bike pad improvements, they've been obligated or received the E76 after the packet was mailed out. So everything on this list have been obligated, and the projects on the next page, 3-6, which is fiscal year 17-18, there are 2 projects on the list from Danville and Martinez. These 2 projects have to submit their RFA by November 1st of this year. And also to point your attention to the ATP project list, which is on page 3-9. The Cycle 3 projects have been approved by CTC in March, so they're now on the list for us to monitor. And just one last item relating to project delivery. So CCTA has been working with other congestion management agency, CMAs, to host sub-regional single point of contact or SPOT trainings throughout the region. So we have 3 that we're looking at, and CCTA has volunteered to host the one in the East Bay, and that will be held on May 23rd. That's a Tuesday, and it will be in the morning. SPOCs are required to attend, and if there are spaces available, we will be able to accommodate maybe one additional staff from each agency, but we're also hosting Alameda County, so we'll let you guys know if spaces will be available to accommodate more people. The topics that will be discussed would be the list of SPOC responsibilities, roles of a CMA, and mainly on the MTC programming policy and requirements and their FMS website, the fund management system, as well as the TIP and how they all work together. So it's highly encouraged that your SPOC attend. And if they're unavailable to make the May 23rd, there will be 2 other workshops in the Bay Area. There will be one in North Bay, and there will be one in the Peninsula. You guys are all welcome to, the SPOCs are welcome to attend any one of those, but I don't have dates for those yet. So please be on the lookout for a flyer that MTC will be putting out, and I will email that out when that's available. And then one last thing is, in terms of training, Caltrans is hosting a half-day workshop that's sort of similar to the 5-day federal aid series, but it's going to be super condensed to a half-day. And it's going to be early June. So again, SPOCs are highly encouraged or required to attend, and that training will be more focused on the federal aid requirements with the local assistance group. With that, that's all I have. I will be happy to answer any questions that you guys might have.
Go ahead.
What's a SPOC?
Single point of contact, if I didn't say. So each agency appoints a single point of contact where he or she receives all the information, and usually that's who we contact first if there's any need for information, particularly dealing with MTC most of the time. And that's a good reminder, if you guys change SPOCs or you guys want to update the people, or like people have left and you have a new person, please let us know, and also let MTC know, because they have a database or a mailing list that they maintain. So for Walnut Creek, I think it was Jeremy. So you might want to update, you might want to send me an email and send me an email, and then we can go from there. Okay, thank you very much.
All right, no other questions? Moving on to item number 4, update to the Comprehensive Transportation Project List for 2017 Congestion Management Program. Matt, you're up.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. 2 months ago, we came to you with our work plan for the 2017 update to the Congestion Management Program. And one of the main components of that work plan and the CMP itself is the Capital Improvement Program. That's our 7-year list of projects, basically looking for projects that will be seeking funding over the next 7 years. So if you have an active project that will be looking for state, federal, or local monies, your project should be in this database. As you know, we have the CTPL, the Comprehensive Transportation Project Listing. We haven't had a call for projects since 2015 for I believe the Safe Routes to Schools and what was the other one? And there was something else. OBAG, sorry, the original OBAG program. And so it was updated by you guys then. Subsequently, we've updated it as part of the countywide transportation plan update that started in 2014. We've updated it for the transportation expenditure plan from last year, and we've added all of your OBAG 2 project submittal to the database. So it should be pretty up to date in terms of the projects that are in there. What we'd like you to do is go through and update project costs, status, those 2 being the most important. for the congestion management program. You're probably used to the ctplupdate.com website where you would go in and your projects would be there after you entered your credentials and you could update there. Well, the person who hosted that website is I think retired, or I was going to say deceased, but I think he's retired. And we no longer have his services. I know it was one of the two. And we just brought on a new on-call planning consultant, and one of their main tasks is to provide us with a web interface for the CTPL, but we just brought them on last month. So we're kind of in between ways of directly updating the CTPL through the web. So we're going to go a little old school on you and send out Excel spreadsheets to all the project sponsors, which includes all the cities, the counties, and the transit providers, the East Bay Regional Parks District, and others. So what I've done is I've prepared a spreadsheet for you with the pertinent fields, and I've gone and highlighted fields that need updating, and those are generally the year of completion of a project. If it's going in this, we need a year of completion, and I've also highlighted where there is no year of completion listed, and I've highlighted where the year of completion has passed, so prior to year 2017. So if your project has a year of completion of 2016 or before, and it's still listed as not begun or design and right-of-way, those are definitely places where we need those two aligned. So update the year of completion and the project status, and then cost, of course. So I'll be sending those out to you next week with a cover letter kind of describing that process in case it's not those of you in this room that receive that. We'll be giving you till I think the third week in May. Let's see, May 26th. Sorry, Friday, May 26th. So a good month to turn those around, and that will make it into the draft congestion management program, which will come to you in June, and then go to the authority in July, and then be forwarded to MTC in October. Unless there's any questions, please look out for that email next week, and then if you have any questions, you can work directly through me on those updates.
Any questions for Matt? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 5, review and comment on the draft 2017 Priority Development Area PDA Investment and Growth Strategy. Brad?
Yes, thank you, Chair, and good afternoon. One of the things that we are required, we mean the authority of the CMA for Contra Costa, sorry, the Giants jersey is very distracting. I'm easily distracted. Anyway, we have to prepare and update a PDA, Priority Development Area, Investment and Growth Strategy. It used to be, originally in Resolution 4035, we had to do it every year, then it changed to every other year. We did one back in 2015, MPC, when they adopted Resolution 4202, changed that to updating it every 4 years with a biennial progress report. So we'll have to do the next one in 2021, and we'll have to do a progress report in 2019. There are a number of things that we're supposed to include in it, but the main purpose is to set out a priority setting process for allocating one Bay Area grant or OBAG funding. That was the purpose in Resolution 4035, and that's the purpose in the new Resolution 4202. So we sent out an updated PDA strategy last night. I'm sure you haven't had a chance to go through all 143 pages of it. The main differences from what we did 2 years ago is that we have the new criteria and description for the OBAG 2 program, the criteria that we've used, are using to identify projects for funding through OBAG 2. And we talked also about putting that funding together with the funding for the Measure J, TLC, and PBTF programs into a coordinated call. And we also, and this is the bulk of the document, we updated what we're calling Appendix B, the PDA portfolio. For each of the 33 PDAs in Contra Costa, we've had our consultants go through and look at the development readiness of each of those. And we hope that you'll look through those for your PDAs to see if there are any corrections that you'd like to suggest. If there's any mistakes, we'd certainly like to correct them before we send it to MTC. Basically, it has an overview. Each of them has an overview statement. It has the growth allocations that MTC is using or forecasting for each of the PDAs, in which they're using in their update of the Regional Transportation Plan, Plan Bay Area 2040, as opposed to Plan Bay Area, which also went out to 2040. But we won't go into the nomenclature that MTC is using. We also have what are called spider graphs with 6 different factors that affect the readiness of each of the PDAs for development, the market, the size and opportunity of development opportunity within the PDA, the physical and infrastructure constraints, whether the jurisdiction has supporting planning policies and an entitlement process, community support and institutional capacity, and adequate fiscal and financial resources. And the portfolio goes through those 6 factors for each of the PDAs. So we need to send this off to MTC in May, so we're planning on taking it to the Planning Committee and to the Authority for their approval next month. So that's my report, and if you read through or have your planning staff read through the portfolio or the document itself, please forward any comments and corrections you have to me, and we'll try to incorporate them into the document that we take to the Authority. So with that, if you have any questions,
Go ahead, John.
pen.
Deadline for comments?
Well, we have to, if you could get them to me within the next week, we incorporate them into the Planning Committee, what goes to the Planning Committee, or that would be great if you could. It gets a little harder to change things once it goes to the Planning Committee.
All right. That's a lot of pages for 1 week.
Yep. Focus on your own PDAs. That'll shorten up the amount of work you have to do.
Yvette?
Did the consultants contact city planning staff when they were developing the PDA portfolios?
It depends. We had EPS do the work. They've worked with many of the planning staffs before. They relied for many of actually a third of the PDAs. They did work back in 2015 as part of a expanded PDA assessment for the whole Bay Area that they did for MTC. It's a little hard to find on the MTC website, but if you want to look at the Bay Area wide PDA assessment, I've got a copy that I can send to you. But they did contact local staff as part of that process. I can't remember if El Cerrito was one of those or not.
I just quickly looked at the El Cerrito one, and it looked like it was older data from before 2014. So that's why I was wondering if they had made recent contact with staff, planning staff.
I know they did for some, but I'm not sure. I don't think they did it for everyone.
Any other questions? All right. Moving on, continue with the Brad Show. Item 6, updated on the coordinated call for projects.
Thank you. We are in the process of putting together all the recommendations. I haven't actually received formal recommendations from every RTPC yet, though I know that each of the RTPCs has taken actions on recommending projects for TLC funding and for the Safe Routes to School funding. The OBAG working group has made their recommendations for the OBAG competitive, and the countywide Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee has also made their recommendations. They also did a field trip of about 13. That was a very long day if you were on the tour. That we travel around to various sites. There were the projects that were sort of on the cusp. So they have also made their recommendations, and I'm putting all those recommendations together now and should be able to send them out to the project sponsors at the beginning of next week. We're also going to be meeting again with the OBAG working group to put together the proposed funding program that we will bring back to this committee next month. So you'll have a proposed funding package for those 3 funding programs, OBAG 2, Measure J, Transportation for Livable Communities, and Measure J, Pedestrian, Bicycle, and Trail Facilities programs at your next meeting.
Any questions? Thank you, Brad. Good work.
Well, sorry, one question.
Go ahead.
When is the OBAG working group meeting scheduled? Have you?
I'm going to go talk to Diane after this meeting to send out a doodle poll for setting up. It'll probably be at the first week in May.
Okay.
All right. Item number 7, status report on the draft 2017 countywide transportation plan. Martin?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations on your new chairmanship, and hello, TCC commissioners, committee members, Martin Engelman, Deputy Executive Director for Planning, and just here to give you a quick update on where we are with the longest countywide transportation plan effort ever. We started this back in 2012, and we issued the draft in 2014. We did not finalize that draft. We were ready to issue a second draft at the end of 2015, and we did not issue that draft. We went through the Measure J, we went through the Transportation Expenditure Plan process, as you may recall, and Measure X through 2016, and that measure did not pass. And so since last November, we've relaunched the CTP update effort. The last update was in 2009. We hope to get this update done in 2017, and if we can, in the first half of 2017. So we're basing this 2017 CTP update on the most recently adopted regional transportation plan and the most recently adopted projections, which are projections 2013. MTC is in the process of updating their RTP, as you'll hear in the next item, in the next board item. But the information from the 2017 RTP is still in draft form, and according to our discussions with ABAG staff has indicated that projections 2017 is not going to come out for some time, well after MTC's adoption of the RTP. And this is kind of an odd situation because MTC and ABAG are going through this merger process. And historically, projections 2017 would have been out last December, and we would have had it final last February, and we could have been updating our model to the latest stuff, but we don't have it yet. So we're basing our CTP on projections 2013. We have a administrative draft, volume 1 and 2 at this time, that's being reviewed internally, and we hope to release the draft on May 24th, a week after the May authority meeting, and we'll release the draft EIR. We're doing a full EIR on this CTP. We'll release that in early June. Comments will likely be due, we haven't announced this yet, but comments will likely be due at the end of July. During that review period of June and July, we will do a public outreach effort and probably have at least one county-wide workshop, possible telephone town hall, and an online engagement tool. But a lot of the public outreach is actually done in the fall of 2014 leading up to the Measure X. So we do have a lot of public comment that I think is very pertinent. We also went through the whole I-680 transit investment and congestion relief study, so we have the results of that study, and we have a pretty good idea of what the investment program is for Contra Costa. So just to tell you a little more about that investment program, so this plan will take the 2013 RTP. It's a $3.4 billion program of projects, and that's kind of our starting point. It's a given, and that'll be our 10-year priority list of projects. And then we have to come up with a financially constrained 20-year list of projects, and that will likely go parallel with Measure X. We assume that we get extra money from somewhere. We don't know if it's a half-cent sales tax or through some regional tax or through some federal programs, but we assume new funds will appear, and we add those on top of the 2013 RTP, and we end up with about a $10 billion investment program of projects. And we still maintain our so-called CTPL, which is the Comprehensive Transportation List, and that's probably up in the $13-14 billion range. So we're going to have to do a little bit of prioritization here and come up with something that says, okay, out of those $14 billion, here's the $10 billion we think we can construct between now and 2040 should we receive new revenues. So the next time you hear about this, we'll probably be letting you know that we've released the draft CTP and the draft EIR. We'll come out to the regional transportation planning committees, the RTPCs, and present this to your tax, if you wish, and to your policy boards. We've asked the RTPC manager already to schedule these presentations for June and July. If your city would like, if your individual city thinks that you'd like your council to hear about this, we can schedule a presentation for your council meetings. Feel free to invite us, and hopefully we'll have this wrapped up and adopted by September. So that's the update, and be happy to answer any questions.
Any comments or questions? All right. Moving on to the regional transportation plan.
So MTC has released its draft RTP. Long awaited. We've been working at the partnership level for the past couple of years with them. So as far as we're concerned, there are no surprises in here, and they kind of went through all the steps with the partnership committees, and we were expecting the plan to look kind of the way it looks. MTC was here last night at the authority board meeting, and Ken Kirky, the director of planning at MTC, came and presented the draft RTP. It is up on the web. They're not printing a lot of copies this time around, but if you want to see it, it's up on the web. And it contains the second update to the Sustainable Community Strategy, and that's really the big part of it. And you'll see in the previous item that Brad covered, if you look at the 2017 PDA Investment and Growth Strategy, we actually did share with you the draft 2017 RTP projections for the PDAs, and we've already heard from the county and from Richmond that some of these projections really don't fit with the land use, so we want to talk to you about that. If there are issues in your PDAs with the proposals that MTC is putting forward as reflected in our PDA strategy that don't fit, we really need to tell MTC about those issues, and better now than later. So I'm going to be putting together a list of comments on this 2017 RTP, and we're going to take it to the authority in May. If you have issues with the draft 2017 RTP, of course you can comment individually as you wish. You can comment through your RTPC, but really what we prefer to do is speak with one voice. And if anything, we'd like to echo your comments or attach your comments to our letter. So if you have issues, let me know, and we will bring those to the authority in May as if they were our own. And that's the update on the RTP.
Is there a timeline if we have any comments or deadline?
Well, you have to comment by June 1st. If you're commenting directly to MTC, comments are due by June 1st. But our comment letter process is going to start next week, and the planning committee will hear about our comments. I hope to have those written up in time for the planning committee the first Wednesday of May. So, and then we go to the authority. So really to get your comments to the authority through CCTA staff, we would need them during the first week of May. They don't necessarily have to be in the PC packet, but I think the first Friday, May 5th, yeah. If you could get me your comments by May 5th, we could take them to the authority.
And all comments go to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So if I may, I have a brochure for everyone about the plans. I'll just pass these around, and I just wanted to announce that the public workshop in Contra Costa County for the draft plan will be the 10th of May in Walnut Creek.
I forgot to mention that. Thank you. Yeah, it's actually next door at Embassy Suites. Is it 6:30? 6:30, Wednesday, May 10th.
Right. Any other comments or questions? No? Thanks for the update. All right. Any other, I guess? Yeah, go ahead.
So in the back table, there's copies of the 2016 or draft 2016 Regional Pavement Condition Report that MTC has published. It's a draft form, and They're seeking comments. In there, you'll find your PCIs for your cities and jurisdictions. But just a quick update on that report is the average for the region is 67 for the PCI, and the running average is also 67. So I think we're pleased with those results. And if you would take a look at, your city's results or data and make sure they are what you expect, or if you see any error, please contact Sui Tan. That his information's in the memo. So if you discover any errors that you would like to talk more about or discuss with MTC, there's a contact in there. And Matt has something else.
And you may not know this, but there is a little-known subcommittee to the TCC called the Technical Modeling Working Group. We just met across the hall just previous to this meeting, and the subject of the meeting is a model evaluation study. The countywide model, every 10 years we do we look at it, examine it, tear it open, rip it apart, put it back together, and have a brand new model that's consistent with MTC and also meets our local needs. We will be doing that major update again in 2020, so we've started an evaluation of what we should be doing with our model, if we should be going from a trip-based to an activity-based, if we use MTC's model, use our own. There's several options out there. We will be having another meeting on this, and we're looking for more input from around the county. So if you are interested, whether you're a city or transit provider, it doesn't matter. If you're interested, we aren't going to make you become a full-time member of the TMWG, but we are certainly welcoming your input at this next meeting. If you are, and the next meeting is scheduled for May 10th at 2:30 p.m. The item will come to the TCC once we have a final recommendation from the Technical Modeling Working Group. I'll just note that we had participation today from the county, from Caltrans, from Pittsburgh, Walnut Creek, and San Ramon. So any other entities that are interested are certainly welcome to come. You can contact me directly, or I'd say it's set for Wednesday, May 10th at 2:30, but I would say contact me so we can confirm that and send an invite out to you. So any people with just an unending interest in modeling, that's a spot to be, Wednesday, May 10th. I know you're out there somewhere. But it also affects, this is how local traffic studies are done for your cities, for any new developments, general plan amendments, things like that. So if you have concerns about how those are done moving forward, it's also a good venue. Thank you.
One more.
So just a plug for MTC staff who will be visiting us next TCC meeting in May. They're doing a roadshow around different, all the TAC meetings. They're seeking input from locals regarding local streets and roads issues that you all would like MTC to focus on. So they will be coming next meeting. So if you can come prepared, if there are things that is of concern to your cities or your local jurisdictions, that would be a good time to bring up to them.
Can you say again when that is?
The next TCC meeting. Yeah, this meeting in May. So it'll be a busy meeting with the OBAG and just wanted to give you guys heads up. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments from anybody? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
going? Good. How are you? Good.